Welcome to the Dark Nook Monster Shop. So, back in the first week of October, I found this in a dollar store. It's a mold of teeth. I think it's supposed to be an ice tray, or maybe it's a jello mold, I don't know. But I wanted to stuff it with foam clay and see if I could make some easy foam clay people teeth. So, I dust it with baby powder and push some foam clay into the mold. I figure I'll make some screaming pumpkin with normal people teeth. That'll be creepy, right? Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Please click that like button and subscribe to see more from my monster shop. Then I noticed this weird fidget pencil case thing that's supposed to be like popping bubble wrap, but I think it'll make a nice mold for little foam eyes. So I pushed some foam clay into these bubbles to make little hemispheres that should be nice and smooth and round and even and make perfect eyes. So I'm going to make a screaming pumpkin with normal people teeth and a bunch of creepy little eyes. That's the idea. Or that was the idea. So now I just have to put this stuff aside and wait for it to dry. But after a week, they're still not fully dry. Any clay not directly exposed to the air just will not dry out enough to remove it from the mold without the soft bits smushing or sticking to the inside of the mold. So I'm going to have to sculpt out the teeth on this anyway. That's a fail for this mold as far as I'm concerned with foam clay. If I do multiple thin layers it might work, but I can just sculpt it in half an hour, so why wait a week for this to dry only to have to sculpt on it anyway? So I was a little bummed it didn't work out, but I was still going to make the screaming pumpkin with people chompers, so I started sculpting out the teeth. Lucky the clay was still so soft I could still sculpt in it. I added some more clay too to make teeth bigger, but I kept them in regular human proportions. Once I like the look of the teeth, I test to make sure they look like they belong together, and then I set them aside to dry. Now the eyes are small enough that they dry just fine, and they pop right out of the mold. Literally. Now I cut out the mouth on the foam pumpkin. I don't even draw it on because it's just going to be a kind of crooked mouth. I cut it in and peel off the vinyl skin and then pull out the foam bits, which should break away pretty easy, but once the foam bits are all removed and my camera is put back in place and the leg put back on my tripod, then I hit it with a heat gun to tighten up the foam just a bit. Then I trim up the foam teeth to fit perfectly inside the mouth. I use some clay to make gums that'll help attach the teeth and even them out when I position them. I fill in some clay around the mouth area and start gluing on the eyes. Then, I build up and blend off the eyes with little clay worms that I wrap around the eye and smooth off with water. At about this point, I started thinking about nesting this guy in a writhing mass of vine tentacles. Like some H.P. Lovecraft monster mass creature that's just indistinguishable writhing tentacles moving towards you. I thought that'd be a really neat idea. And then within a few hours, what pops up on my feed but this creative genius north of the border, and he's gone and released a video making almost exactly the same damn thing I'm making. Now, I don't think that north of the border is stealing my ideas, or anything like that. I think it's more that we're just both creative geniuses fishing in the same pop culture waters. But man, this is like the third time this dude has made something that was either on my drawing board or on my workbench halfway done. I even mentioned it a few months back with the earth elemental behemoth I was thinking about making. So as soon as I saw North of the Borders video, I was like, well, never mind, I guess. I'm not going to finish this one. I'll move on to the zombie fairies. But then I thought, no, I just started on the mouth. I'm only halfway done with this thing. I haven't even started on the tentacles. I can just change up the tentacle situation and problem solved, right? Instead of vine tentacles, I'll give him vine hands and have him pulling his own mouth open in a scream. That'll be different enough, and it'll really feature the teeth, so that'll work, right? Plus, hey, I've got some viney fingers already made from another project. I can just hot glue those into place and then blend them into the vine arms. Super easy fix, right? Looks pretty cool too. So I sculpt out a tongue real quick. And then I start adding in all the viney bits to the tentacle arm vines and connecting them to the top with a little bit of PVA glue, which helps this foam clay stick really well. It was, however, during this process that one of my pals pointed out this reminded him of an old internet meme from back when the internet was 90% about tricking your friends into looking at something that would emotionally scar them for the rest of their life. And he was 100% right. I can't unsee it now. And if you know the meme, neither can you. I swear I didn't do it on purpose, and it's all north of the border's fault anyway. I'm too far in at this point. There's no going back. This is done. It's ready for paint, so I'm gonna finish it. Painting is pretty simple. I start with a black base coat in the low points and then a brown coat all over with some Mod Podge mixed into the paint. Once that's dried, I come back in with the airbrush and dust in some orange on the high points, being careful to avoid the eyes. Then I give the tongue and mouth and eyes a red coat, also mixed with Mod Podge. I spatter red paint freckles all over the pumpkin to warm up the low points. Then I lay down a heavy coat of glossy red in the mouth and on the tongue and over the eyes. Once that's all dry, I start wet blending shades of green and yellow for the vine arms. Then I paint the teeth with a coat of white, and I paint the fingernails white too. I paint the eyeballs white. And then I paint around that with a nice pink wash, which I also paint over the teeth, followed by a nasty yellow-brown wash. Then just a brown wash. And then a thinner yellow wash. I dip a cotton swab in brown paint and then dab on the irises. Then a brown wash in the mouth and on the teeth and nails. And after that's dry, I coat the mouth and eyes and nails with Mod Podge. And once the Mod Podge is dry, I add green paint over the brown, leaving just a slight ring of darker color showing around the outside edge. And then I go over that green once it's dry with a yellow color. Once everything is dry, I use a toothpick to poke little drops of black paint in to make the pupils. Then I cover everything in Mod Podge and glue in the tongue. Once that dries, we're all done, and it's on to the beauty shots. Thanks for checking out my video, and if you like this one, you might like one of these. Or you can click on my face to subscribe to my channel.